They claimed my water belonged to the community. They dragged my name through the valley mud, call me a thief on live TV, and try to break me with threats and forged papers. What they never expected, what none of them could even imagine, was that the man stepping into that meeting behind me was my godfather, the county commissioner. You ever seen folks so sure of their own power, they forget you might have a few cards up your sleeve? Yeah, if you've tangled with people like that, you know exactly how this story starts. First light in Pinehurst Valley is a kind of miracle, thin gold pouring over the frostbitten grass, making the pine ridges glow behind my cabin. For maybe 8 seconds each morning, the world is silent, honest, and you feel like the land's breathing with you, not against you. I come out here to outrun memories, a failed dam inspection that ended more than just my career. This place, these mornings, were supposed to be my peace until it all shattered the second I stepped onto the porch, boots half-laced, and heard tires chewing up my gravel drive. I knew trouble by the soundtrack, gravel popping, doors slamming, metal tripods smacking against SUV fenders. 5 black trucks, 3 news vans, and more people tromping through my pasture than at a high school football game. Out front, Lydia Carver. She didn't just run the HOA, she was the HOA. Platinum hair, green blazer, heels stabbing the soft earth like she was running for governor. That woman swung her title around like a badge, and the only thing she liked more than rules was being on camera and forcing them. Before I could even clear my throat, she's pointing me out. There he is, the man draining our valley dry. And every lens in sight whips toward me. Lydia splashed through my spring creek, finger jabbing at the one thing I'd spent months restoring. That limestone shelf, bubbling clear water, untouched, unmodified, older than every house in this valley. And suddenly I'm the villain? She spun to face the cameras, hair lacquered so tight it could deflect a bullet, and declared, "This is blatant water hoarding, a private reservoir, unregulated, dangerous. Ma'am, step off the property." I tried to keep my voice even, but I could feel the heat behind my ribs, my jaw locked so hard I thought my teeth would crack. Deputy Hollis, useless as a fence post in a snowstorm, half raises a hand. "Let's keep things civil, Mr. Merrick." Civil, right? Lydia was staging a hostage situation, starring my spring as the victim. Neighbors started gathering by the fence line. Some of them folks I'd wave to every morning, whispering and staring like I'd been caught with a stolen truck engine. "It's a spring," I said, "a natural one, and it's mine." Lydia scoffed, loud enough for the microphones to catch it. "Water rights don't work that way. Your so-called ownership has caused sediment drift all the way down Willow Bend." I could feel her winding up for the cameras, voice trembling just enough to sell the outrage. "He is harming the entire valley ecosystem, and we will not tolerate it." Reporters scribbled in their notepads. The crowd shifted, and for a second, I could almost hear that question in their heads. Why would man steal water from his own land? What was Lydia really after? The wind picked up, blowing that cold limestone scent across the pasture, and I knew this was only the opening act. There was a bigger storm brewing. Next morning, the valley wore that tense hush you feel before a hard frost. My coffee barely took the edge off the worry knotting in my chest. Something orange flapped on my gate. A violation notice, but not the usual white kind. No, this was the special, urgent kind, the kind that costs real money. $3,200. Unlicensed retention dam, it read. The charges were pure fiction, unauthorized diversion, creating a hazard, violating a municipal runoff code that didn't even apply to us. Failure to comply within 48 hours meant more fines, maybe legal action. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. It burned, quiet and deep, like the spring behind me, bubbling away, indifferent to human nonsense. Didn't even get to finish my coffee before a white pickup rolled in. 2 guys in khaki, clipboards, and measuring rods, flashing badges that looked like they'd been laminated by a high schooler. "We're here for the environmental risk assessment." I asked for their credentials. They hesitated, shuffled their feet, and started for the spring anyway. You're not stepping foot on my land without real ID. That stopped them cold. When I mentioned the sheriff, they bolted faster than spooked deer. By noon, rumors were spreading faster than a brush fire in August. Jill Ramsey, one of the only neighbors who'd ever stood up to Lydia, met me by the fence. Lydia wants your spring under HOA jurisdiction, she whispered. She's been meeting with out-of-town investors, suits, fancy SUVs, talking about water rights and development. The pit in my stomach turned to stone. Jill's eyes darted. And those inspectors? Not real. Evan, this isn't just HOA drama anymore. That's when I found the soil moisture sensor buried by my shed. Fresh boot prints all around it. Someone had been close, real close, planting equipment to spy on my spring. On the underside, scrawled in marker, SB Phase 1. Phase 1 of what? Jill's face went pale. This was bigger than anyone realized. Lydia was laying groundwork for something massive, and she'd use whatever tricks, lies, or laws she could bend to get what she wanted. The next 2 days, the valley got quieter but not peaceful. It felt watched. More trucks slowed down by my property. Came home to find a premium paper map stuck to my porch railing, my land, but not the county map, no. This one had my spring circled in blue ink, notes about community access, strong investment appeal. Survey markers showed up next. Bright green ribbons staked 4 meters inside my line. Someone was moving my boundaries, literally. Jill showed up again, pointing out the SUVs from last week. Investors looking to carve up the valley for a spa resort. None of it could happen unless they owned the spring. That's when I realized I wasn't just in Lydia's way. I was the last obstacle. One sleepless night later, I caught them, 3 figures out by the spring, midnight, high-end equipment, collecting soil, water, LiDAR scans. Real professionals or good fakes, but they weren't hiding anymore. I got all on my trail cameras. The next morning, Jill told me Lydia had posted a video claiming I was a danger to the valley, manipulating water, risking landslides. It was a lie, doctored and cruel, but enough people believed it to spread. That afternoon, the county showed up with a stop-use order for my spring. Another fake. It rattled me. The investors showed up in force. SUVs on the ridge, pointing, planning, measuring. Sheriff Alvarez finally arrived. He hadn't issued the order. Half the office didn't even know it existed. Lydia had sent 8 environmental complaints that week alone, all trumped up. Don't push too hard right now, Evan, Tom said. They want you to look uncooperative, makes it easier to take action. He was right, but I wasn't about to roll over. I needed help, real help. So I called my godfather, Halden Brooks, county commissioner. He came with all the quiet power a lifetime in Montana politics gives a man. We laid out the evidence, fake violations, forged maps, the video footage, survey stakes, the torn corner of a binder with a forged state seal. Halden was calm, precise, and underneath it all, furious. They're waving a felony around like a church program, he said. We document everything. Let Lydia get loud. She'll incriminate herself. Let the storm build, and when it breaks, we'll be ready. 3 days later, the HOA called an emergency meeting. Lydia packed the community hall, reporters and neighbors shoulder to shoulder, projecting slides and doctored maps. My maps, claiming the spring as a community resource, laying out a vision for a future none of us ever agreed to. She made me the villain, the selfish outsider. When the room was at its most fevered, I stepped forward, steady and slow, and asked the question that split the air. Shouldn't we discuss how your water data was collected illegally at 2:13 a.m. by trespassers on my land? You could feel the room's mood swing like a door off its hinges. Lydia tried to brush it off, but I presented video footage, timestamps, the forged binder. That's when Halden stood, broad-shouldered, voice like winter ice, and introduced himself. Miss Carver, as county commissioner, I have a few questions. The data you presented appears identical to data submitted to my office last week. Flag for potential fraud. The room erupted. Fear, realization, the sense that something had gone very wrong for Lydia Carver. Four federal agents stood from the crowd, badges flashing. "Miss Carver, you are being detained for grant fraud, trespass, forgery, and interference with protected water rights." Lydia's empire, built on bluster and lies, collapsed in seconds. Her board members shrank away. The sheriff arrested her as the cameras rolled, neighbors gaping. She pleaded, "I did this for the community," but nobody listened. Halden's words landed like a hammer. Authority ends where the law begins. As the rain started falling, the meeting dissolved into a hush that felt like justice itself. I walked out of there lighter. Halden promised the state would protect my spring. Jill found me under the porch light, both of us exhausted, but finally truly home. The next 2 weeks, the county moved fast, formally protecting the spring, dissolving the HOA, giving this valley back to the people who loved it for what it was. Halden handed me the final documents, signed and sealed. Water flows where it's meant to flow, Evan. Truth does too. You just have to stand still long enough for it to find its level. Sitting on my porch that evening, coffee in hand, spring gurgling away, stars rising over the ridge, I realized the lesson wasn't just about law or land. It was about standing your ground, quietly, until the storm passes and the truth is the only thing left shining in the dawn. Some folks never learn power, greed, all that. But justice, when it finally comes, is as patient and unstoppable as the water beneath your feet. If you've ever had to hold your own against folks who went too far, drop a justice in the comments so I know I'm not alone out here. And if you believe truth still wins, share your story. What's the line you won't let them cross? Let's talk about where justice ends and karma begins.